stand your feet. And the next time that you find yourself with the lungs full of air, intentionally stop breathing. And stop breathing for a little while. And then slowly start to let the air out. So the aim of this exercise in awareness, is not to find out how long you can hold your breath. The aim is to detect what are those sensations that you experience when you start breathing again. Keep repeating that process every now and then, and punctuate it with a little bit of normal breathing in between, so that you're not constantly holding your breath. So when your lungs are full with air, intentionally stop breathing and sense, what is it like to not breathe? What are the sensations associated with that? And then as you decide to start letting the air out, what are the sensations that appear as you begin to breathe out? In other words, you start breathing again. And that is your inquiry for the next few moments. What is the difference between breathing and not breathing? What sensations appear when you stop breathing? What sensations appear when you breathe and start breathing again? And there are so many different sensations to pay attention to, you'll need to make some deliberate choices. That's one way of operating. Another way of operating is just to simply notice those sensations that are prominent. That's enough. Stop your inquiry for just a little while and breathe as you wish. And now resume your inquiry, but now slightly differently. The next time that you feel that your lungs are empty of air, now in reality, they never empty with air, but let's just talk like that. The next time you feel that your lungs are empty with air, stop breathing. Pause for a little while and then notice how you start breathing again. How do you start to take in air after you've stopped breathing? So that's your inquiry now for the next few moments. And I'm sure each of you will have your own very particular way of stopping breathing. For some of you, it will be very much a timing factor. It could be a sudden stop. It could be kind of a gentle easing into it stop. It could be a series of little stops before you stop completely. And the same thing when you start again. For others, the factor might be more to do with how much muscular effort you use to stop. For some of you, when you stop, your muscles really kind of hold on very firmly. And for others, maybe not so firmly. And for others, so softly that you don't even know you've stopped, you're holding on. That's enough. Breathe as you will. Roll onto your front and lie on your front. Place one hand on top of the other and place your forehead on your hand, on the uppermost hand. Simply pay attention to how you're breathing now. And the next time that your lungs are full of air, stop breathing, pause for a while, and then after the pause, start to breathe again. It's the same inquiry. What sensations appear to you when you stop breathing? What sensations appear to you when you start breathing? And it's knowing what these sensations are that enables you to be aware, I am breathing, I have stopped breathing, I have resumed breathing. So it's through sensations that we know. Let that inquiry be. Breathe as you wish for a few moments. And the next time that you are empty of air, stop breathing. Pause for a little while. And then resume breathing very gradually enough so that you can detect the sensations that appear when you're breathing once again. Let that be, and just breathe as you wish. So there was a time when airfares and air travel was very, very expensive and not very affordable to us poor folk. And so we would drive, and we'd drive from Melbourne, and we'd drive to Sydney, and we'd drive from Melbourne, and we'd drive to Adelaide, and it took a long time, but it was kind of fun. And there'd be this moment that if you drove one more millimeter, you'd go from being in Victoria to being in New South Wales, or being in Victoria and then being in South Australia. It was a very strange thing, because I remember taking photographs of that place where the border is, and it's very artificial in the the border's quite artificial in the real world. Someone has to put a sign up for you to know, now I'm in Victoria, now I'm in New South Wales. Is this distinction that you're experiencing now, the distinction between starting to breathe and stopping breathing, is that an artificial distinction, or is that something that you can tangibly experience in yourself? And that is really a sincere question, because a border between states usually is this artifice. There's nothing real about it. Is this distinction between stopping breathing and breathing, not breathing and breathing, artificial, or is it substantial, something that you can experience, sense in yourself happening? Please roll onto your back. Bend your legs, stand your feet. And now, with your hands, with your fingers, could you take them above your head on the floor and take hold of some hair that's behind your head, close to the floor, but don't slip your hands underneath your head. Just take hold of any hair that you can get hold of that's close to the floor at the back of your head, and more towards the top than the sides. Now, if you don't have any hair, bring the pads of your fingers into contact with the scalp in that same area. And here's your next intention to explore. Could you gently pull on your hair so that you feel that your head moves away from your tailbone a little bit and starts to lift from the floor? That's just the idea, yeah? Your head does not have to lift from the floor. And here's a recommendation to you. If you do have hair and you are pulling on it, I would suggest getting closer to the root of the hair rather than the tip. Repeat that. Yep. So there you are, holding the hair at the back of your head, close to the floor. You're holding towards the root of the hair, and your intent is to pull on the hair so gently that you get a sense of the head beginning to move away from the pelvis. The spine starts to lengthen, and then there's a moment that you sense the head could start to lift from the floor. Yep. And as you do that, is there any moment that you stop breathing? And if you were a very, very good detective beforehand, you'll pick up on the sensations that you've identified being associated with stopping your breath. So have as your project looking for a way to pull your hair so that your spine lengthens without any sensation arising of stopping your breathing. And then as you go on in your inquiry, lifting the head without stopping the breath. The more you do this, the subtler and subtler and subtler it becomes. Now, change one aspect of what you're doing. Instead of finishing off with the idea of lifting the head by pulling the hair, finish off with using one hand to pull the hair in such a way that the head rolls a little bit to the right or rolls a little bit to the left. And you can alternate once one way and then once the other. So the original intention is still the same. You very, very lightly pull on the hair so that you feel that the spine gets a little bit lengthened without stopping the breath. And the way you use your arm to bring your hand to your head could be a factor.